Hello and welcome back to yet another Trackmania Live. It's been a little break with not an episode last Wednesday, but we are back. A short episode today, only 4 guests, but I pick quality over quantity, and we start right off with a big name. He has been on the podcast before, but that was in 2018 or 19, if I recall correctly. Now he's back. He's back in Trackmania. It's 4 a.m. over in Australia, Mudda. So how are you feeling? Are you tired? How is life?
Life is fantastic. Honestly, I feel fine. Like I'm in a bit of a nighttime schedule at the moment, so yeah, just normal to me.
Yeah, I had the simply Nico on, and a topic with him was that how is the day rhythm for you? How is the schedule for you? Because most events and most things in Trackmania are on a European time. Are you sort of aiming your life around the schedule for European time, or how is your sleep schedule?
Well, at the moment, my sleep schedule is the way it is because I have no obligations, like to leave the house or go anywhere. I am currently studying, but I just do it online, in
Hmm,
my own time.
yeah. And since the last time I had you on a podcast, there's been a lot of things happening. You left Trackmania, you came back to Trackmania, and now you have running a YouTube channel pretty actively. You have gotten a manager. Where do we start? Maybe start with the time when you actually left Trackmania. Why did you feel the need to leave Trackmania? That was nominated for Story of the Year or Moment of the Year, simply because people. Uh, it was such a big happening. Why did you leave Trackmania?
My mental health during that time was not in a good place, and one of the reasons I thought that my mental health was so bad is because I was so addicted to this game, and I just needed to stop and sort my life out. Now, well, it did help. It wasn't the solution. But what it did end up doing is giving me a deeper appreciation for the game and the community.
Hmm. But can you tell us why did you feel that maybe gaming was a part of a problem for you, and why did you essentially find out that maybe it wasn't a problem for you?
Well, I thought it was a problem because that's all I really did with my time.
Mm,
Yeah, obviously, every time I learned that's part of who I was, that's what I like to do. But at that time, because I wasn't in such a good state, I was blaming gaming for my problems, which was partly true, but it was also, what's the word? I can't remember the right word, but anyway. The reason I came back was actually to play a full speed competition for AR. Um, that was actually a lot of fun. That was the FSL in 2019. That was actually, yeah, late last year. We ended up winning that tournament, which was very satisfying. Actually, my first ever team tournament win.
oh, really?
Yeah, very first one.
But can you tell people what have you done in the meanwhile? I mean, we saw you stream pretty actively before you left Trackmania, and then you're streaming pretty actively now. But we haven't seen much of you in between there. Can you tell us how was your life in this Trackmania break?
While I developed new eating habits, I just started a regular workout routine. I completely transformed my body. Obviously, those who knew me back then would have seen that, the difference. But a lot of what I've been doing is just self-development, like self-improvement. Yeah. And again, the time away gave me a very deep appreciation for this game and the community.
Hmm. But are you, I don't know, afraid is probably the wrong word, but that maybe you get back to the state where maybe you feel like gaming is a problem again, maybe your psychological health is a problem again?
No, because I learned from my mistakes.
Hmm. And what are those mistakes?
Not taking care of myself, pure and simple. Like not
Hmm.
giving my body the nutrition it needs, not being hydrated, not talking about my problems. Like mental health is very important. Don't underestimate it.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like you are at least one of the guys in the scene that is somewhat vocal about it. Have other people reached out to you saying that maybe they share the same sort of feeling that they have struggled with some psychological health, some mental problems, or
Yeah, absolutely. Like there, a lot of people have to deal with mental health issues at some point in their life, so that's not surprising at all.
hmm. But now, looking forward into the future, looking at your stream, looking at your activity, looking at your YouTube, are great numbers. Is these numbers that you expected during the hype for the new game, during your return?
I can't say I really like. the numbers don't matter to me. It's the quality of the community that matters. Like, it's been fantastic to see such consistent, positive, and constructive feedback on my content, and that's why I do it. That's why I love it.
Mm. Yeah, we see a lot of YouTube stuff. I've seen some of that ice tutorial. Can you tell us, are you focusing more on YouTube now than you did before the break?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm like I feel more driven to create content and to create actual tutorials for people to learn things on, like the speed drift tutorial, for example. Like I wanted to make that like 2 years ago, but I just never got around to it. But yeah, all of a sudden, a week ago, I'm just like, I'm doing it, and I did it. It was very difficult, but I did it.
But is that something? What's the trigger point? Is it something that you have a passion to learn stuff, or has there been like a request because you are the best full speed player in the game that some people are like, "Hey, can you teach me stuff?" Or has there been like something coming from your side that I want to teach people?
I teach people how to play full C because it's, in my opinion, it's the most. Oh, where did he go?
Do not worry, Eirik is coming back. That is the trademark Discord of Eirik having a bit of a fit there. We're just gonna wait.
Hello, chat. I can't see you, but hello.
Hello, chat, and yeah, hello to everyone who tuned in. This is Director speaking here. Finally able to come back to producing this after a week away due to thunderstorms. But yeah, now that Eirik's back, you can retake your question if you want, Eirik. So that
Sure. I sadly didn't hear the question, or the answer to the question. The question was basically, why did you produce tutorials? Is it because you like to teach, or is it because people are requesting it?
I'd say it's both, but it's more so I want to teach people how to play the game because I love this game. Like it's so much fun, and especially speed drifting. Like that is my favorite trick in the whole game. There's so much you can do with it, so many ways to do it, and yeah, it's just really fun.
Hmm. But let's say that I don't know what your competitive goals are, but let's say that you are in the future competing against maybe the top players. Then maybe they are learning what these sort of tricks that you have. So the benefit of you becoming such a good full speed player is out of the window. Are you scared of maybe, let's say, learning Call Junior to become even as good of a full speed player as yourself? Maybe other people.
Can you repeat the question?
Like, you are known as the best full speed player in the scene. If you teach, let's say, some tricks that you have learned over all these years, are you maybe afraid that other people catch up to your level in full speed, so that sort of edge are not there anymore?
I say bring it on. I'm waiting.
But if you talk about you as a competitor and not maybe as a content creator, are you maybe looking to play in the Open Grand League that is coming up now in September?
I'm excited for the Grand League. I'm gonna train really hard for it and do the best I can.
So you are going to play the Open Grand League?
Absolutely.
Oh damn! How is that going to be? Do you already? We don't really know the schedule for it, but is it going to be a problem for you to play maybe late at night, or how are your head working at night?
I always find a way.
But if you look at the new Trackmania, I haven't had any full speed players on to actually ask about it. If you look at it from a full speed perspective, how is this game compared to, let's say, Trackmania 2?
This game, like the physics, is an absolute blessing for full speed. I cannot state that enough. The physics in this new game are an absolute blessing for full speed.
Why? Can you explain to a guy who doesn't play full speed why?
No range times, first of all, so that means you never have to do a flow trick. And if you've ever done a flow trick, it is the most painful trick to do in full speed because not only is it random, it's also extremely precise.
But are you then, now that you say you're going to play in the Open Grand League, are you looking to become more of, let's say, a mixed style player because the biggest competitions in the game is mixed style, or will you say that you still are a full speed specialist that maybe plays some mixed events?
I am a full speed, like what the best full speed player in the world, like that's already known. But I don't want it to be just full speed. I want to get into every single style. I want to be at the top, you know. I want to be a top player.
And what is the hardest part for you to then become a mixed style player? What is the most difficult thing for you to learn to become a top player in the mixed style as well?
The most difficult thing? That's actually a really good question. Give me a moment.
The tech drifting, the bug slides, the dirt, the ice.
I think the reactor boost is what's going to be the most difficult about it, especially the ones where you jump through the ring. Like that has already caused me some troubles, but overall, I don't really see it being too difficult. I just got to put in the effort. That's about it.
Mm. But if you look at then the competitive scene, I guess if you're going to play in the Open Grand League and hope to qualify into the Trackmania Grand League, then you probably are going to have a look at the Trackmania Grand League this season. Is there any players that you see as a favorite, as maybe ahead over the others?
No, I think it'll be close and it'll be exciting to see because of all the new physics. Everyone's going to learn.
Yeah, can you tell? Do you think actually you're going to change a lot? Let's say, how many of the 8 players from the last playoffs do you think will play into this playoff? Do you think the scene overall in the pro scene can change because of a new game?
Absolutely. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
What do you mean by that already? We only had like Serrator Cup, right?
What I mean is like we haven't had that competition yet to really tell for sure.
But if you look at Open Grand League, then do you know any names that you are expecting to battle against? Do you have any competitors that you see as a guy who maybe can steal advancing spot from you?
No, and that's the exciting part. I'm diving into new territory.
But are your stream, are they maybe expecting you to, do they have expectations for you now that they probably know that you're going to play it? Are you like, okay, you have become the king of full speed, now you're going to become the king of something new? Are they expecting you already to do well?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I want to give them confidence in me, that's for sure.
Is there anything that you feel that the Trackmania scene should know about yourself since the last time? Because I think it was in 2018 we did a podcast, and I feel that you have changed a lot. I feel that the scene has changed a lot. Is there anything that you feel that I have forgotten to ask you about, or anything in Trackmania, in your personal life, in content-wise? Is there anything you would like to share with the people? Because it's 2 years since the last time you spoke.
Not necessarily about me, but for anyone who needs to hear it, never, ever, ever ignore your mental health for any reason. It is your number one priority. Like I can say from experience, do not ignore your mental health. Please. Please don't ignore it.
We ended on some positive and important words there. Thanks a lot, Mudda, for stepping up. It's a short interview today, so I hope you will do well in Open Grand League. And if you do, I'm going to invite you back onto this Trackmania Live. So it's not 2 years until the next time we speak, right?
Well, time will tell. But can I just add one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
It's been a blessing to work with Phoebe, having her as my manager. She's been helping me a lot with my personal development over the last couple of years and also with my content creation. So shout out to Phoebe.
Yeah, shout out to Phoebe. It's the first time I actually had to go through a manager to book someone here. So the professional state of Trackmania is picking up, and Phoebe and Mudda is going in the forward there. But thanks, Mudda, stepping up and doing this interview. Next interview should be GranaDy, but before that, a little break. it's time for me to learn about something new in Trackmania, something I think I am a casual fan of it, but I don't think I learn a lot about it. So it's a pleasure to welcome in an expert and a guy who is pushing in this scene. Is Rasta, and he's here to talk about the speedrunning scene that is somewhat blowing up in Trackmania at the moment. But first of all, welcome to the Trackmania Live, Rasta. How is life?
Well, life's going great. I finished my holidays, so I'm back to work. I mean, back to school. So quite difficult to go back to school in August with these rising temperatures in the south of France. And yeah, so it's quite difficult. So this is why everything's closed. I don't see the sky during the day because it's so hot in there. It's like 30 degrees. I have no air conditioning, so I'm dying, but I'm fine.
30 degrees. I mean, I think I
Yeah.
have like 12 at the moment. So yeah,
My
I cannot.
ESA run, it was like 31 degrees during my ESA run. At the end, I was sweating. I had to take a shower because it was just a nightmare.
But can you tell people that might not know who you are? This is the first time you are on this channel, so maybe
Yep.
some of my subscribers doesn't know who you are. I mentioned you are one of these guys who's pushing the speedrunning scene, but I guess you are better to explain who you are. Who are you and what do you do in Trackmania?
Well, I started Trackmania in late 2015, so I'm not a new player, but I'm also not an old player. I mean, I did play Trackmania DS for like an hour, but it was ages ago. And so I started with just casual Valley, Stadium, etc. And the first game I bought was Valley, so quite surprising choice. Not many people online, but it was quite fun. And then I had a few months on the crew. It was a really nice game, and then I moved on to Turbo, where I spent most of my time on Trackmania. And when I was on Turbo, I noticed the speedrun communities from different games. I was watching a lot of speedruns, and I was like, maybe I should do some Trackmania speedruns. And there were like 200 tracks in the Trackmania Turbo solo campaign, so I thought this would be a good challenge to do the first speedrun of the solo campaign in a Trackmania Turbo. It took me almost 5 hours, really long, but it was really entertaining. And yeah, that's how I started Trackmania speedruns. It was not really active at that point. There was a moderator that left in early 2017, so Alpines, and then I decided to take charge of a speedrunning community. And for a few years, I've been joined by Darklink, so we're managing the community together.
Yeah, how big would you say that the speedrunning scene is at the moment? I mean, the only time I personally know about it and is somewhat showing up in my feed is, of course, when it's ESA and now once virtual did games done quick. But how big is the speedrunning scene in Trackmania, would you say?
Well, it's not really big. It's not really known by players. There are a few. There are not full-time speedrunners on Trackmania. It's not like on other games like Minecraft or The Legend of Zelda, where you will see people streaming entirely Zelda speedruns for hours. So myself, I don't speedrun that much. I just play the game casually, and yeah, so not that many speedrunners, but we did see some speedruns at some big marathons. So I'm really proud about this, and maybe you can talk about that too.
Yeah, because now we see some big numbers. I mean, yesterday Virtual had 80,000 viewers. Do you think that the speedrunning scene is something that will eventually grow up, or would you think that it's going to become like a niche part of Trackmania that we only see sometimes at some big speedrunning assemblies?
Well, right now it's a niche, but I was thinking of a new contest, a new monthly contest to bring more players, possibly pro streamers and like Yoli Virtual or other French streamers. So we'll see how this will go. We will launch it next month. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Maybe we'll get more speedrunners because right now most of the speedrunners are just casual players and not pro players.
So you think we need pro players to eventually grow the scene, or how
Yeah,
are the speedrunning scene going to grow?
well, we will need some fight between streamers. Back then on Stadium, there was a fight on the white tracks between Symbiose and Spam. It went on for a few days or a few weeks. I don't really remember. It was really nice, but we haven't seen any big fight between top players.
Any players? If you could pick like may I say a 4-man battle, who would the 4 players be?
Speedrun wise, well, Rioli, because I consider him as the best Trackmania solo player, and maybe then maybe Spam. He's been around for a lot of time, and he's been the first to speedrun a Trackmania game at ESA. And then I would pick Virtual, And last name would be Demon, because he's been doing some speedruns lately, and he has some really sick records on Nations Forever.
I have spoken briefly about it because it has been a topic that has been brought up on this Let's Talk Trackmania. It's not a topic that I have personally wanted to necessarily speak about, but once I'm asked about it, I share my view on it, and that is a casual view of this speedrun. And I have mentioned some good parts, of course, being that it's really good for a casual fan to discover Trackmania, but also maybe confusing because you show so many different games. Yourself speedrun Trackmania 2 Canyon, virtual streamed or speedrun Trackmania Nations Forever, and then Riolo Trackmania, the new Trackmania, at the same speedrunning assembly. Do you think that maybe the Trackmania community should focus on one game to speedrun, or is it good that we showcase that there's so many possibilities in a Trackmania speedrun?
Well, there's surely going to be a game that will be speedrun the most. I mean, last year on Trackmania Stadium, the green tracks, so the green category, was chosen as part of the Ultime Decathlon, a French speedrunning event. So for a few months, you had to run 10 speedruns. And we had like 150 players who did the green track speedrun. So it brought more players on the Trackmania speedrunning scene, but not for a while. And so, yeah, there's going to be some games with really few speedruns like Trackmania Valley, and other games with a lot of speedruns like Nations Forever and Trackmania Stadium. So it's really, it is based on the amount of players who already play the game. I mean, Trackmania Valley is like a dead game right now. It's a good game, but there are not many players. And when you look at Trackmania 2020 and Trackmania Stadium, or even Nations Forever, there are still a huge community, so more speedrunners then.
Yeah, but my sort of point of view of showcasing so many different games is, let's say that I have never watched Trackmania before. I tune into ESA and then I see 3 different Trackmanias. How should a casual fan know where to start? I mean, we are a small community, so if I'm selfish, and I'm always selfish when I speak about my own experience, I want everybody to come into the new Trackmania to feed that scene. Do you think maybe showcasing Trackmania Nations Forever yesterday could maybe hurt the new Trackmania, because eventually new fans then discover a different Trackmania than the new Trackmania?
Well, I don't think so, because Trackmania Nations Forever is still the most popular Trackmania game ever, because it was a free game. It has been played by millions of people, even on school laptops, because you could run it on any computer. And so this is why the video from our Virtuals run at ESA last year got like 500,000 views for one of the most popular. So people are definitely interested in Trackmania speedruns, but speedruns on games they already played. So like Trackmania Nations Forever, Trackmania Stadium, and Trackmania 2020. So right now we maybe should focus on speedrunning, on showcasing some 2020 speedruns. But we can still play Nations Forever. People will enjoy it because it's been a game they've been playing for hours, and they really like to see pro players destroying the tracks.
And talking about your own speedrun, I'm bringing you on as an expert here, but you're also a participant at the ESA speedrun. How was it? You spoke about it. It was hot, but how was the experience? Was it pleasant, or was it still just hot?
It was a really nice experience. It was not my first marathon. It was the biggest I've attended. I've already speedrun Turbo and Kenyan at about 3 or 4 marathons online, but really small marathons. So I was a bit stressed to know that more than 5,000 people were watching me live. So on AO2, I was like checking like crazy on one of the easiest tracks. But on EO3, I was just really calm, and I just crashed into the wall 3 times in a row. So it's not because you stress a lot that you will bonk a lot in walls. But it was a really nice experience. I really love the chat. But I decided to give €1 to charity for every wallet. And so chat loved counting my wallets in chat because I did so many and they really loved it.
Now you're broke.
No, that's fine. I mean, I study as an air traffic controller, so I'm paid for my studies, so I'm doing fine.
Yeah, okay. But if you look into the future and of speedruns, do you think, I had Riolo on and he mentioned that he would like his speedrun to be longer, but this campaign in the new Trackmania is short because it's a summer campaign, then we will have another campaign coming up. But what is the future of speedruns in Trackmania? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be other stuff? Is it still going to be just campaign? Are we going to have community made tracks? Do you have any ideas about what the future can be?
So this is really important because so far we've only made categories out of GranaDy or made tracks, except for the United, the star tracks on United Forever and on Mania Planet. These were made by the community, but they were like officialized by GranaDy. And so with Track of the Day on Trackmania 2020, we decided to create some monthly categories with these tracks. And these Track of the Day categories are really interesting because you got to play community-made maps with beautiful scenery, and most of them are nice to drive, so it's much more pleasant to do this category than doing Summer 2020 or training. So this is why, as starting in September, I've decided to launch like a small contest with a cash prize to get the fastest time on the Track of the Day speedrun. So during all the month of September, people will compete to get the best time on the August 2020 maps. And in the end, the top 3 will get a small prize, and a random speedrunner will also get a prize to encourage people to participate. And maybe the cash prize will grow bigger with donations or other stuff like that.
But can you tell me how will this competition work? Because from what I've learned after your comments on, I think it was the Let's Talk Trackmania, as a casual viewer, you see just ESA, you press start and you press end once the speedrun is over. So that's why I feel like it's the loading time that essentially I decide the time of that. But you're explaining that there is a mode that only captures once you actually play the maps itself. Can you explain people how does this work, and will this be used in your competition?
Well, in speedruns, you have 3 different timing methods. First one is real time. You start the timer, you stop the timer, and you do not remove any time in between. So you count loading times, menuing, etc. And so this is not the best timing method for sure if you have a really slow computer. So this is why you also have a real time without loads. You just remove loading times. And then you have an in-game time where you remove loading times and menuing. You just focus on driving in Trackmania, for example. So this is why we decided to use in-game time on most Trackmania games. And we decided to use some scripts to use the timer automatically. Instead of typing your times at the end of each map, it's done automatically, so it's much easier to do. And yeah, so this is really different from speedrun marathons where they have a tight schedule, and to maintain this tight schedule, they need some estimates in real time. And this is why you only hear about real time at speedrun marathons. It's like a showcase. It's not really a competition, but just showcasing the speedrun and providing really good commentary.
But in your competition, it will be just how fast you are on each map.
Yeah, it's going to be in-game time. So you just download the timer. I'm doing a tutorial right now. I'm updating the speedrun tutorial. It will be released really soon, and then you can just watch it and start speedrunning the new game. And yeah, it will be based on your in-game time. We've got a really good script that was made by a really nice programmer. So hopefully some people will join in and try to compete for the best time on the August 2020 tracks.
Final question from me. What is next for you as speedruns? Are you hoping to speedrun yourself the new Trackmania? Is it still going to be Trackmania 2 Stadium? Are you going to Games Done Quick, ESA? What is the future for you?
Well, I wanted to go to Summer Games Done Quick, but I just forgot to submit for this edition, so I'm really sad that I did not submit, as I saw a virtual run being really appreciated by others. And so yeah, future for me would be maybe take part to GDQ if next event is online. I don't know, because it's really difficult to go to United States. So this is why we had never seen a Trackmania speedrun in United States before. And yeah, I'm just gonna speedrun the new Trackmania. I can't really right now because my computer suffers from overheating issues. So I need to send it to a repo store before I'm able to speedrun the new game. And I need to get back some world records on Trackmania Canyon because I got beaten by a Brit.
Oh no!
Mr. Molly.
Well.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
I'm maybe also gonna take part to Trackmania Open League. We never know.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean, if my computer gets back from the repair so early, I'll try to practice and get into the competitive scene. I haven't made a lot of competitions. I've only been in a few teams. So yeah, driving competitively might be interesting.
Yeah, then it's maybe a reason to bring you back on instead of just you teaching me about speedruns, but maybe talking about you as a competitor in Open Grand League. But thank you so much for stepping up, and thank you so much for being vocal about the speedrunning community. So guys like myself eventually get to know what this community is all about. So I appreciate you taking the time, Rasta, to actually teach me something about Trackmania.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for inviting me to this episode.
That's it for Rasta. Now the next guest should be GranaDy, unless he has left because he is disappointed about not being before Rasta. But thanks so much, Rasta. And
Sorry,
yeah, we'll break
GranaDy.
now.
My bad.
It's time to welcome in someone who doesn't play with a keyboard, who doesn't play with a pad, but I think this is the first time I welcome someone who is playing with a wheel in Trackmania. GranaDy, welcome to the Trackmania Live. How is life?
Life is good. Thanks for having me. It's kind of hot over here, but yeah, I have to deal with it.
I feel like everybody mentioned how hot it is. I don't know if that's the case or just want to make me jealous because it's 12 degrees here in Northern Norway.
Oh, yeah, I would rather have 12.
But can you tell people that you're also the first time on this channel? So I'm going to allow, let's say, a casual fan to get to know you. Who are you? What do we need to know about you before we get into some spicy topics?
So, as Eirik already said, my name is GranaDy. I'm a 19 years old competitive Trackmania player from Germany. And he already mentioned the most famous aspect about me is that I'm playing with a steering wheel instead of a keyboard or a pad, what the most players play with.
And can you tell people shortly what was your way into Trackmania, and did you already play with a wheel back then?
So I've been actually playing Trackmania for, I think, around 13 years already, so quite a long time actually. And I was like 6 or 7 years old when I began, and I came to the game because my father used to play the very first Trackmania version, and he kind of showed me the game as a kid, and really impressed about all the jumps and the loopings and the stuff, like things kids are impressed about. And for some reason, I never really stopped playing the game, and I think at around 12 or 13 years, I started to play a bit more and also got quite a lot better. And yeah, and since basically the beginning of 2020, I'm a competitive player in Trackmania Stadium, and now in the new Trackmania.
Yeah, because I think the first time I heard about you or noticed you was maybe late 2019. If not, it was early 2020. I spammed you saying that you should go to Twitter because you're so unique with this wheel. But when do you feel that you eventually become one of these best players that can compete against the other best players?
Well, I wouldn't really call myself one of the best players yet.
Yeah, I will.
Well, I've always been, as you might know, before I started to play Stadium, I played Trackmania United forever, very actively, and I also started to play competitions in this game, like in 2019. And I saw that I can really compete with the best players over there, and so I started training more and more. And I really good in the few competitions that I played in Trackmania United. But the problem for me was that there barely were any competitions at all. I think over half a year I played like 3 competitions, which is really not a lot. So basically at the end of 2019, I decided to move to Stadium to see if I can compete there as well. And yeah, as you can see,
But I feel that I mentioned that you are one of the best players. I mean, you have competed in some grand finals, you have won some smaller events, but I feel every time you mention the name GranaDy, it's like, yeah, he's a wheel player. So it's almost like the wheel part of your game is taking away the sort of skill. Do you feel that maybe it's becoming somewhat, I don't know, a meme is probably the wrong word, but that you get so much attention about you playing with a wheel that maybe your skills are not getting highlighted as much?
well, that's an important point to mention. But for me, it's not really a problem because it's understandable because like literally no one except me plays Trackmania with a racing wheel. And yeah, and I'm actually quite good with it, I guess. And so I don't have a problem with it getting recognized as the typical wheel player in the game. So for me, it's fine. And in the many tournaments that I play currently, I can show what I can do. And I guess most people know that I really can be good in tournaments as long as I train and put some time in it.
But explain it to a guy who has only played with keyboard. How hard is it to play with a wheel compared to, let's say, a keyboard or a pad? Do you feel that some parts of Trackmania you are missing out on, or some parts you're benefiting towards a keyboard and a pad player?
I think my connection is really bad.
Now it's not me that is the problem. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us, GranaDy? Yeah, he seems as though he might be running into some internet issues.
Is it fun to be on this part of the side?
Yeah, it must be said that Germany is having a bit of a fit with internet. Is kind of known for having somewhat subpar internet. I think Massa tweeted it that his internet got cut out a few days ago, and yeah, he's having a bit of trouble getting that back up again. So yeah.
I'm not only cursing myself now, I'm cursing the guest as well.
No. It's a general thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Danke, Deutsche Telekom, Kabel Deutschland, Vodafone, or whoever you are. And yeah, we have a connection drop. There we go.
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, are we back?
Hello.
I changed to mobile internet.
Okay. But you can hear us now.
Can you hear us now?
Sure. Yep, I can hear you. But I think you need to repeat your last question because
yeah.
I only...
Yeah, don't worry. Before Eirik repeats, I just want to say Danke Kabel Deutschland oder Deutsche Telekom oder Vodafone oder... But anyways, carry on with the question, Eirik.
So the question was basically, do you feel that you have an advantage at some parts in Trackmania over a keyboard player and a pad player, or some disadvantage compared to, let's say, a keyboard player and a pad player on ice, dirt, tech, or anything?
Well, I have advantages, but I also have quite a few disadvantages. Basically, I have an advantage at every technique in the game that requires smooth steering. So you, for example, have the speed slide. You have the bobsleigh parts in the ice because their smooth steering is really necessary to get a lot of speed. And also for like really precise parts having a wheel is quite good in my opinion. But then there are also techniques like the Neo slide or basically very fast turn combinations where you have to full steer from one side to the other. Then my wheel, of course, gives a bit of a disadvantage. But yeah, I learned how to avoid disadvantages. For example, if there's a Neo slide, a very important one on a competitive track, then I sometimes change to keyboard mid-run and it worked out.
Yeah, a question from the chat here from Lumar is asking, do you think that you could be a better player if you use pad all the time compared to, let's say, a wheel?
Well, I actually tried to play some pads, like before I started playing with wheel actively on Stadium, like at the end of 2019. But first of all, it wasn't that fun for me than playing with a wheel because it was kind of hard for me because I never really played Stadium before. And so I had to learn a new device and a new environment at the same time, which was kind of complicated and it wasn't that fun for me. And so I decided to stay with my wheel, which I played with like 12 years. And yeah, it stood like this. Maybe if I put in the effort and the time, I could become with a pad as good as I'm with a wheel right now, but I don't really see a sense in doing it. So I just gonna stay with my good old wheel.
Yeah, and also a question from the chat, a guy who was just on this Trackmania live. Rasta is asking, does it hurt your hands to play a long session on a wheel?
Well, it doesn't really hurt my hands because my hands are just gripping the wheel and that's quite relaxing. But if I really play a long session, like several hours without break, my arms are really getting tired because, yeah, steering is, you have to steer quite actively fast on some of the maps. And if you do like this for several hours, it's getting really exhausting, especially in summer when it's like, as I said, 30 degrees outside. I really have to take some breaks after an hour. And I also thought, for example, in the Open Grand League that I played, the 2020 Winter Edition, the races were like 6 to 8 minutes long, and even that was quite exhausting without any breaks. So that definitely is a disadvantage, I think, but yeah, it's okay. I got used to it.
Yeah. And I mentioned that I discovered you late 2019, if not early 2020. But since then, you have done some solid results. If you are looking at from your own point of view, what event are you the most happy with? What event are you the most proud of accomplishing?
That is a good question. The biggest tournament I've won so far was the GMTV Cup 3. I think it was in March. Like it was back in Trackmania 2 Stadium. It was yeah, the biggest event I won, and I was really proud of myself because I really did a good match there. And besides from that, maybe to come to the current Trackmania, I kind of liked my performance in the Mingo Cup too. I don't know if you have seen it. And also in the Space Station Gaming Cup, I did really good, I think. And yeah, but I still have the possibility to get a lot better. So there hasn't really been a match where I said, oh yes, that was the perfect match. Yeah, I didn't have that yet, and I think it will take a lot of time until I can say this about a match that I played.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with Carl Jr. and I think he only felt that after playing in Lyon once he dominated at the winner bracket final. So there is some room for improvements, even though you are the best player like Carl Jr. But I think this is the last weekend of PK Arc, if I recall correctly. How are you looking at the standings there? I've seen you play some of the events. How serious are you taking it, and what goal do you have there?
So basically, to explain the format, you have to play 6 weeks in a row to get qualified for the grand final. And I unfortunately missed the first week because, yeah, I just didn't know about it. And then I kind of try-harded like the last 4 weeks, and I did some pretty good results. I reached the grand final 2 times against a few of the best players in the world. And yeah, think I'm already safe in the grand final, even though I don't play the last step, but I think I'm still gonna play it. And yeah, for the grand final, I will of course do my best. I will train all the 6 maps and see how far I can go. Can't really tell what I can do because, yeah, as I said, some of the best players of the world are playing the cup as well, like Spam and Onyu and Link and many others. So it will be definitely hard to get a top position there, but yeah, I will try my best. yeah, I think maybe my goals are reaching top 5. That would be pretty sick.
If you have to name one favorite, who would that favorite be? Who is looking the best at the moment?
I think according to the standings, Shocker from B Genius is looking pretty good. And also Super Karluf, like the 2006 World Champ, is playing insanely good. I think also obviously Spam can do really good as long as he trains. And yeah, as I also mentioned, Link is a favorite in my opinion. So it will definitely be a good fight for the first place. And I hope I can be part of this fight.
But after that event, there is a more important event coming up, and I assume you're going to play it. It's the Open Grand League. How serious are you taking it? Is that your biggest goal for this end of the season in Trackmania?
Well, I'm definitely taking it very serious because I already played the OGL in the OGL Winter 2020, and I also did pretty good there. So I know that I have the possibility to like get a top position there, and I definitely gonna do my best. I also trained the maps a bit already, and yeah, I think my goal will be to reach the combine. That would be good, and I definitely know that I can do it. But what I heard from some other players, they are also gonna try hard this competition to get into the Trackmania Grand League. So I think it will be way harder to reach the combine than it was in the previous OGL.
Yeah, I mean, you're the third guest on today's live chat, and the third guy saying you will compete in Open Grand Leagues. I feel like everybody's stepping up to play Open Grand League this season, so that's really fun. But the question that I ask is, who is the favorites? And then people are struggling to mention favorites to actually qualify. Maybe you're a better guy to ask it. You are playing against the players a lot. Do you have any names who is looking to be, if you have mentioned 3 or 4 names that are your favorites to make it or win Open Grand League?
That's a difficult question because
Exactly.
I don't know that everyone is playing the competition. I know that, for example, Onyo is gonna play it, and I know that he's gonna really try hard to get a good result there. I hope me myself can be a good person to like do good there. And else, yeah, there are so many great players around. If they play and try hard, they could do really good. But mentioning certain names is actually difficult. I'm thinking about them, but I think, for example, Link also could be good there. He stepped up his game a lot, I think. Like, at least every competition I played against him, he was one of the top contenders for the victory. And I think he can be for the OGL as well. And yeah, I guess there are really a lot of players who can do good there. It's hard to mention.
So I guess it's easier maybe to ask who your favorite for the Trackmania Grand League is going to be, because then you have 16 players and not maybe 500 players to pick from. Do you have a favorite to win this Trackmania Grand League fall 2020?
Well, there are some obvious candidates. For example, Carl Jr. is definitely a good choice, I think. And then also, which I will be excited about to see, is how Gwen will actually do in the Trackmania Grand League. I played a lot of tournaments against him already, and he always was one of the guys who you could never beat. So it will be interesting to see how he will do against the very best players of the world. And yeah, it will be really exciting to see if he can maybe fight for the victory. Me, myself, I at least hope so, because yeah, it would be interesting to see him playing against Carl, and the ZRT Trackmania Cup showed that he can beat him. And yeah, but I think also other players like Bren, Papu, maybe also Riolu and Spam will have a nice chance there. But my top choices would be Carl and Gwen.
And I'm going to put you on the spot to pick one winner. Who do you pick? Is it Team Carl Jr. or Team Gwen?
I think I'm gonna go with Team Gwen.
Oh, there we have it. There we have it. The ballsy prediction. If you make it, then you can cut out this part of the clip and post it on Twitter, and I will retweet it. So yeah, maybe get one more follower.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I mean, you are producing a lot of content on both on Twitter and YouTube as well. Do you feel that how do you feel that the content production in Trackmania is it easy to get the recognition outside the Trackmania community? Is it easy to get recognition within the Trackmania community once you somewhat start to launch a YouTube channel, for example?
Well, it's definitely easier to get recognition within the Trackmania community. I don't think there are too many people who watch my content, if you can even call it like that, outside of the Trackmania community, because I mostly upload like very certain things, for example, world record runs on some competitions that I currently play, and there are not many people outside of the TM community that would really watch it, on purpose at least. But I think within the Trackmania community, there are quite a few people watching my videos on YouTube and also the few runs that I post on Twitter. And yeah, most of them are they're like getting like good results, and people say that I enjoy my runs, especially the runs where I have my wheel cam installed. That's always pretty exciting to see for them. And yeah, it's great to get good feedback after them. So I try to get my runs to the public as often as I can.
And now you are on the public with a face reveal here as well on my channel, so that's really cool to get another Trackmania name to showcase here on this channel. It's been a pleasure, man. Hope it's not going to be the last time I speak with you, and maybe the next time it's not going to be only wheel questions, but about you more as a competitor in hopefully the Open Grand League, and if not in other competitions like PK Arc and other events in Trackmania. So it's been a pleasure, man. I hope you also had a great time here on this little Trackmania Live.
Thanks for having me again. It was a really fun interview, and I hope also the viewers enjoyed.
Yeah, it seems like at least Rasta seems to be a fan of you, so you have at least one fan there. He's more fan of you than he is of me, but that's it for GranaDy. Now the last interview is going to be Nykho. If you don't know who he is, well, then wait until the break is over, and you will learn about who Nykho is. Thank you so much, GranaDy.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
The following interview of Nykho has been pre-recorded at 6 p.m. a little bit before the show started, so this is something to be aware. No need to post your question in the chats. It's already been answered for you.
He is the defending champion of Sealand that is taking place this weekend. However, this year he's not playing with his teammate Wingobear anymore, so let's check in. Is there some drama between Nico and Wingobear? But first of all, I guess we start off easy and say, welcome, Nico. How is life?
Oh, pretty good actually. Training for the cup for Zealand, and mixing it with Diabolical as well. So yeah, life's going pretty smooth right now.
And I might assume that some people know you, but there's probably also some hardcore Trackmania fans that doesn't really watch Sealand. So can you tell people who are you and what do you do in gaming besides maybe the multi-gaming in Sealand?
Okay, so my nickname is Nykho. I'm 22 years old, and I'm generally speaking arena FPS player. So everything about Quake, Diabolical next, and Quake Champions lately, which I was pro on it. And last year I played Zealand, which is a competition from the organized by Zeredo. And I actually happened to win it with Wingobear. I don't know how still, but I'm still trying to understand. And yeah, so the land goal was to play 10 games plus 2 different like games, which was a dictation and a surprise game, which we didn't know at the time of LAN. And one of the game was indeed Trackmania, which we were actually the best team of the LAN because I was playing with Wingobear and I actually had some experience as well.
Yeah, if you talk a little bit about last year's edition, you said you're still wondering how you actually won it.
Yeah.
Now that before that event, what did you have any goals of qualifying for? Did you see yourself as a favorite, or
to be fair, as a favorite, no. But I was actually hoping we would get to quarterfinals. That was a goal, at least.
But can you some sort of now it's over a year since you won it? Have you thought about why you ended up winning it? What was the key factors of you actually winning it?
There was actually 2 main problems, I'd say, with the run system, with the step system of the bracket. There were like 2 rounds where we knew we wouldn't have the advantage of the games because on the LAN, starting the quarterfinal, you can pick and ban certain games. However, before that, there were 2 rounds with the 16 and the 18 one, where where the game were like this, and this. You didn't have to get the choice. And one of them was StarCraft 2, and we suck at StarCraft 2 a lot. So, which we actually happened to won the game. We still don't know how, but we actually won the game. And then after the other games, where there was Trackmania, there was Worms, and on these games, we knew we were better than the opponents, and we actually won on that. But there was two key factors that could decide if we were going to continue in the bracket or not, and this the factor was Porto too.
But after the win, I think Wingober, at least, I follow him more closely than I do you because he is a Trackmania streamer. He benefited from that success. He gained a lot of followers. His YouTube channel, he boosted it. Can you tell, have you benefited anything from the exposure that you was at Zealand?
No.
What? Nothing? Why?
The problem is that, as you said, indeed, Wingober was your streamer, or your Trackmania streamer. And what happened after Zealand was the Trackmania Cup. So the timing for him was perfect to actually improve his viewership, his base viewership at least. And I mean, for me, of course, the timing was kind of bad, and I didn't have at that time a lot of games to play. For a bit of explanation, Quake Champions right now at that moment, so last year, was a bit of we still don't know what's gonna happen. Like we were waiting for QuakeCon, which is the biggest tournament in the Quake history. Everywhere, it's like the World Cup. It's like the Zerator Cup with the Quake fans. And the problem is that we still didn't have any info about the tournament, so we were like hoping to have like some kind of qualifications, etc. And then they announced there is a Quake Pro League, which is still going on right now, actually. And it was invitational. And since I didn't get any invite, like nothing happened to me. Like there was nothing to do for me, literally. So I tried to stream a bit with Quake Champions, etc. But if you don't have a goal in the end, like you can do nothing. So in the end, I played the Trackmania Cup with Etwall, which I'm actually playing Zealand this year with him. But in the end, yeah, in terms of viewership, of fame, I'd say I didn't want nothing. I even like a bit lost of viewers, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. I hope this year is gonna change. I hope. We'll see about that.
Yeah, well, what is then your motivation going into this year's event? Is it because if you talk about Trackmania in particular, and then related to Zerator, the pro players want to play that cup because they want exposure. But now you have won it, you feel that you didn't get that much exposure. Do you have any motivation this year to win it again? How motivated are you to win it?
Generally speaking, I'm a big competitor. So at the moment there's a competition, of course I'm all in. So I knew that I'm good at like learning multiple games at the same moment. I don't have any actual competition on the Quake side, and more in the future in Diabolical, which will be released in the month. I don't know. We don't know yet. So I can like 100% focus on the competition. So the motivation is just to win again, to be one of the best. We'll see how it goes. There's a bit of RNG in this land this year. We'll see how it goes.
I mentioned there might be a little drama. No Wingober this year. Can you tell us who ditched who? Why are you not playing with your teammate Wingober?
Why I'm not playing with Wingober was because we didn't have the same objectives. To be honest, last year during the last 3 weeks before the LAN, we were 100% focusing on the LAN as well. And the problem is that Wingober made a bit of sacrifices in real life, like to train for the LAN. He didn't want it to do that again, which I actually understand. While I don't have a lot to do in my real life, I guess I can at least 100% on the LAN. So I don't remember his original teammates, but I feel like in the end he got with Libe. But there's actually no drama at all. Like there's just not the same interests, not the same approach of the LAN itself.
And who is your teammate this year then, for the people that might not know?
It's Etwall.
Yeah, a friend of this channel. He has been interviewing here, caster of Trackmania and GranaDy. But is he improvement or what to say? Is he better or worse than Wingober in multi-gaming?
That's not a question right now. Going to a hard question, I see.
Yeah.
I'd say it's actually really good because we have like a lot of games where we can be good at. For example, I'm before playing Quake, after playing Trackmania, I was playing Shootmania. Shootmania is one of the probably one of the biggest game of the LAN because it's present every round. So I had kind of the advantage with this. It was good at Minecraft, is good at mental mathematics, and like we know that we're gonna train like for the remaining days. Same 100 focus on it, and I actually expect to be a quite good team. How compared to others, we don't know, but we'll try at least our best.
And if you have to mention any other duels that is maybe a favorite or a contender to win it, is there any names that we should look after?
To be honest, Kayart and Slide are pretty good this year. There's also Eliodar and Yonix, which I'm actually afraid of because Eliod is actually keeping up the pace with my level on Trackmania. There's also Kenny Stream, and Callan, which are two, generally speaking, they're two PUBG players, but their Callan is also really good at multigaming in general, so is probably one of the favorites as well. So yeah, at least these three. There's also Sardosh and Tita22, which was one of the finalists last year against us. And actually, originally the plan was to make a team with him.
Oh, really?
The problem was that we don't have actually enough views to be able to get into the top 40 duos to participate in the LAN.
Yeah, okay. But a story for this is called Trackmania Live. So then a story is that Trackmania is no longer part of it. It's Shootmania. Do you think that's beneficial for you that Trackmania is switched out with Shootmania this year?
I don't say it's beneficial. I say it's just different. Like I understand that Zerator, since he had like one ZLAN everywhere, Trackmania caps, etc. I guess he wanted to change a bit the pace with Nadeo. Nadeo had another game, which was probably like one of the easiest to set up for a LAN, and they say let's go for it. What you need to understand on this on the game selection is that the game needs to be like not with a high price because they pay it for every participant. For example, I don't actually had Civilization 6, the game, and the game cost like 200 euros with the DLC and all, and they actually paid it for every participant.
Oh, really?
So they had to make an economy somewhere. I think like I heard Nadia gave 3-month keys to every participant who didn't have the game, so they can actually train on it, at least for the LAN. So yeah, I guess there's a bit of partnership interest, I guess, but well, maybe other reason, but I actually don't know of.
And like I mentioned, this is Trackmania Live, so then I'm gonna ask you, how did you eventually find out about Trackmania? What was your way into finding out about this?
Actually, Trackmania was my first PC game. Was my first PC game. I actually got into Trackmania Sunrise, on the day of the release. Like I was I don't remember 6, 7 years old, something like this. And a friend of mine told me about the game. I was like, hey, look, you should check it out. It's pretty cool. And I actually quite enjoyed it as well. So I bought it and I got into just after. So I did on the order of the Trackmania games. I did Sunrise Extreme with the DLC, Nations. I actually knew about Nations after the Extreme DLC. Then Nations Forever, United Forever, Trackmania to Canyon, which I played a lot as well. And then the others Trackmania, who came out on many planets after Shootmania.
And then you have a lot of experience in Trackmania. Then what is your feedback of the new Trackmania? It's soon been out for 2 months. Do you like it more than other games, or what is your first impression of this new game?
I actually feel Yeah, it's overall it's pretty good. They did a pretty good job with the club system, etc. There was about a bit of bug of the start, but that's a game release, so I don't like it's almost normal. But I sometimes felt like there was mistakes they didn't still learn from. Like we are still. I feel like I'm still getting some Mania script errors when I'm playing, etc. The how to say this? For example, the camp free. There should have been now we have the choice between the old camp free from my planet and the camp free, the new one. They should have been things from the start, at least. They try to force their way in, but that didn't work, and that's what we thought. That's one of the errors they did on Trackmania as well, and that's what game is not actually being played right now overall, except for Xeon as well. They're trying to impose their way of thinking about the game. Like there should be competition for everyone, more creativity, etc. They're trying to listen to the creative community, but at that time of Trackmania, for example, they didn't listen to the competitive community, which I believe was more interesting for them gameplay wise than the creative one. I mean, the game is good, it's beautiful and all, but gameplay wise, there are a lot of mistakes. Rockets going through the walls, rails going through the pole. For example, the famous phrase like X player X is missed his shot by one pico. I had one day 1 picometer. I was like,
Oh, really?
oh yeah. I was like, that's a good day. That's a good day. And I feel like there's been a lot of errors like this, and then of course not supporting the game over the years. I think the last LAN of the last Trackmania LAN was the Mania Planet. No, the Ubisoft 15 years old. I feel like this was something like this with the competition in Paris at the LDLC park.
But you already played the tournament in this new Trackmania. You did.
Yeah.
In my eyes, at least, good. But what is in your eyes? How was the Serati Trackmania Cup 2020
actually,
for you?
For me, that was actually a performance. To be honest, the fact that I can play on the second day of the Trackmania Cup, that's actually really huge for me. The last year we stopped at the round before the qualification for the second day because Etwa had a control problem and he wasn't able to play. So I mean, you can't blame him. Like if the controller doesn't want to work, he doesn't want to work. Doesn't want to work. Yeah. But like this year, I knew like I was actually trying to play, not to play a lot because I have I'm engineering student. I mean, I've just finished my diploma, so I'm almost free, almost.
Almost.
And so I don't have that much time to play as well the maps, but I found some time just to train, at least to be a regular on certain of them. Except maybe the two last one where I tried to focus less to be better on the others. But yeah, in the end, it did work out for me.
And what is your future in Trackmania then? We obviously know that the biggest competition ever in the history of this game is coming up next year in May. What is your way into that event, and what is your way into the future of this game?
Actually, I really don't know. That all depends on Diabolical, which is a new fast FPS game, will be released really soon, as I said before. And if there's competition in it, I'll be focusing on Diabolical, of course. Like if there's a competition colliding with the Trackmania code, I'll be focusing on Diabolical for sure.
Yeah. Any final words for the Sealand before I let you go off to practice and hopefully defend your title? Any final words for you?
Any finals? Thank you for staying partner with me, which I'm now almost 2 years and a half with them. And let's grab the second one.
Let's grab the second one. If you win it, then you come back here next Wednesday to do a winner interview. Maybe bring in your teammate then as well.
I'll try.
That's it for Nico. Good luck in the upcoming Sealand this weekend.
Thank you very much.
There you go, folks. This has been the fourth and final interview for tonight, concluding this a somewhat short episode of Trackmania Live compared to what we had in the previous years. So this is episode 6. We were supposed to have this episode, well, last week, but unfortunately, due to some exceptional circumstances and exceptional weather conditions, I decided not to take any risks of frying my equipment. There was a bunch of thunderstorms coming into my area at the time, but yeah, now we have been all good to set this up, and huge thanks to Eirik Holdal for being the regular show host, and also doing these interviews. And I want to thank our guests, first of all, Nico, for taking his time to record an interview before we went live with Trackmania Live, and also to our guests Mudda, Rasta, and GranaDy for stopping by today and having a chat with them. It's always a pleasure to have Trackmania people like that. Anyways, thank you very much for watching episode 6 of Trackmania Live, and I'll see you all next time.